I'd like to call to order the Mount Olive Township Council Conference meeting of August 20th, 2019. Can you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of reflection in honor of those that defend our freedoms and in remembrance of Deborah Sheard, longtime community volunteer. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, can you please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call.
Mr. Amianda. Mr. Ferrante.
Here.
Mrs. Labow.
Here.
Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Okay. All right, our first item on the agenda is a swearing in of Police Sergeant Jessica Grabluski.
Sergeant Grableski.
Yeah.
A lot of people have problems with that.
I have it easier with names.
Myself
like
included. Mayor Greenbaum, Township Council, honored guests, brother and sister officers, and members of our community. It is my privilege tonight to introduce our newest sergeant, 21-year veteran officer Jessica Grableski. Her promotion is the culmination of a very competitive process amongst very talented men and women. Before I discuss her qualifications, I would like to recognize those people that have had a tremendous impact on the journey Sergeant Grableski has taken to get here tonight. Those people are Russell and Roberta Steepy, Jack Naminsky, and Julia Torlucci. Russell and Roberta Steepy were Sergeant Grableski's grandparents. Her grandfather was a veteran of World War II, and together they were her historians, mentors, and teachers. Though both deceased, I know they would be proud of what you have accomplished. Roxbury Detective Jack Naminsky is the sergeant's boyfriend. Detective Naminsky is a Ranger-tabbed Army veteran who is now a member of the National Guard. He can't be here tonight because he is presently deployed in Africa. And lastly, with Sergeant Grableski tonight is her mother, Julia Torlucci, the sergeant's biggest supporter. Participating in a sergeant's process is a grind, and your mom's support and that of friends has been helpful in navigating the process. Now about Sergeant Grableski. She is a 1992 graduate of West Milford High School in West Milford, New Jersey. After high school, she worked and attended college. In 1998, Sergeant Grableski graduated from the Sussex County Community College with an associate's degree in criminal justice. That same year, she tested with the Mount Olive Police Department. I distinctly remember her from the testing process. On the day of her physical assessment, she reported for the testing with a cast on her right arm. She had broken her wrist prior to the PT assessment. Determined as she was, she had gotten a medical waiver to compete during the process, and being here tonight, obviously she did very well. The first person to ever test with any broken bones for us in over 30 years. In June, both she and now retired Sergeant Jeffrey Califoot were recommended for hire by then Chief Charles Brown. The recommendation was approved by Mayor James Sheese, and that July they both attended the Morris County Police Academy's 52nd Basic Police class. In 2008, largely as a result of her interpersonal skills and investigative acumen, she was pegged to replace the soon retiring juvenile detective, Peter Yagello. She was transferred into the investigations division and upon his retirement assumed Detective Yagello's duties. In 2013, as a result of her performance and efforts, she was assigned as a detective corporal. In 2014, Sergeant Grableski was reassigned to the patrol division as a corporal. Her promotion to sergeant was effective August 1st. Sergeant Grableski is certified as an instructor in police academies throughout New Jersey and is a past physical fitness instructor for the Morris County Police Academy. She is certified to cover the communications desk. She is a certified bike patrol officer. She is certified to instruct CPR and AED. And through the Division of Criminal Justice, she is a state certified arson investigator. Sergeant Grableski is a past team member of the Morris County Prosecutor's Office Quality of Life Initiative and worked assignments with the Special Enforcement Unit. In 2010, Sergeant Grableski was conferred a Bachelor of Science degree in Sport Management from California State University of Pennsylvania. Sergeant Grableski is the recipient of numerous awards and commendations. Among these, educational achievement, program development, life-saving, Grand Cordon, and honorable service. She is a past president of the Mount Olive Fraternal Order of Police and has served on its various committees. Sergeant Grableski, please step forward with your mother to take the oath of office.
I, Jessica Grableski,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Sergeant of the Mount Olive Township Police Department
Sergeant of the Mount Olive Township Police Department
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
You want this in council or?
Everybody in the audience.
His family? Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, I'll take that. Thanks.
Congratulations again. I promise to get your name right. Okay, all right, we're on to our next swearing in, Fire Marshal Mark Mucione.
Thank you. Very pleased to have Mark join me up here tonight. Mark has been with Mount Olive Township for better than 20 years and obviously worked very closely with Fred DeToro, learned from Fred DeToro, and now is stepping up to the plate to handle the job of Fire Marshal in Mount Olive Township and all of our shared service contracts. We evaluated all of the different candidates and Mark rose to the top. So we're very proud. And congratulations to you, Mark, and to your family on the appointment to Fire Marshal for Mount Olive Township. Congratulations.
I, Mark Muccione,
I, Mark Machoni,
Two for two.
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
and under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Mount Olive Township Fire Marshal
Mount Olive Township Fire Marshal
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Pictures, pictures.
Before everybody leaves, may I have the floor, Mr. Roman?
Please, please.
Thank you. I was taking it anyway, so. Good to see you, Kathy. I just wanted to say that we all up here work very hard to gain the trust of the residents of Mount Olive, and all of you that run into harm's way make it very easy for us, because to a person, the reputation of the police department and of our first responders is second to none. The hiring process, the promotional process, the job that you guys do every day for us is much appreciated. And I know I speak on behalf of the entire governing body and on behalf of the residents of Mount Olive that we appreciate and want to see you all succeed. So thank you for everything that you do.
And Mark, if I may add, you have big shoes to fill, and I'm sure that you will do it beautifully. Thank you. All right, our next item is we have a presentation by the Lions Club. Mr. Drew Van Dam, please.
Good evening. I'm Drew Van Dam, Mount Olive Lions Club Treasurer. And I'm here tonight to present to the Police Department, FOB, a check for $1,000 for the police vests and other materials that they may need as they see fit. So,
Chad, are you going to accept the check? Okay.
we already did the pictures earlier. Really appreciate it.
Never seen Chad look so good.
Council. John, Greg, John.
Yeah, I'm not winning.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, we're just gonna rest for a little bit. All the exciting stuff is still yet to come. Sit on my lap. Okay, our next items are resolutions. There are 9 resolutions. Does anyone from council have any questions or comments? Seeing none, does anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, we're on to, we have, next item is an ordinance for first reading. Does anyone on council have any questions? Comments? Anyone from the public? None? We also have an ordinance for second reading. Anyone from council? Anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, we're on to our first old business. Anyone from council have any old business? None? Anybody have any new business? Okay. All right, we're on to our first public portion. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on any issue before? If you could, unfortunately, you have to go up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You gotta give your blood type.
So, I'm a newbie. This is my first council meeting.
No, you need to state your name and address for the record.
You gotta speak your,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
so
it's official.
My name is Raven Valverde. I live at 142 Sandshore Road in Bud Lake, New Jersey. Thank you for having me. I'm new to this, so I'm just going to ask a quick question related to the Bud Lake condition. I'm not sure if it's on any of the action items. You mentioned resolutions, so I just wanted to take a quick, is it on there? Or is this the proper forum for me to come and say, hey guys,
No,
I'm a resident, I have a concern, and I think that you guys can help with it.
Definitely no. None of the resolutions before us today are pertain to the Bud Lake, but Andrew, if you could give her an update?
Yes, so Bud Lake is still currently under a DEP HAB advisory. The beach area has been closed for this season, and it's recommended that other watercraft, fishing, boating activities not take place on Bud Lake. We're letting nature take its course at this point, and we'll reevaluate and have DEP come back out and inspect the water to lift the advisory. If you're wondering what we've done to kind of try to help prevent this, over the last couple of years, we've been chemically treating the lake. This year, we've harvested some of the vegetative growth, so we're taking steps every year to improve the quality. The HAB is new to Lake Sid in New Jersey. DEP just started to enforce this type of algae, so it's kind of a learning curve for everybody as far as how to treat it, handle it.
I think that we want to try and prevent it, right?
Mhm.
And from what I've read is that the fertilization from runoff from the sewer drains is one of the big factors. And if we start looking into that and investing in the lake quality, right? Because we can't have the lake die off.
We do invest in the lake quality. We have an environmental consultant who monitors the lake on a year-round basis and advises us in terms of the actions to be taken with respect to the lake. The lake is actually significantly improved in terms of the quality of the water and the wildlife that's in the lake from past years. One of the major problems that we had previously to the installation of Bud Lake sewer system was that we had septic systems that were actually infiltrating the lake. That no longer occurs. There is only so much that we can do. Obviously, the lake is adjacent to Route 46 and gets some runoff. We have passed ordinances in town related to the use of phosphorus, so that we're trying to keep fertilizers out of the water runoff system that the town has. We don't drain into the lake, but the algae growth is a naturally occurring event. There's not really too much we can do to stop it other than to continue to treat the lake, both in terms of the harvesting of the plant life and...
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
You said that our drain systems don't go into the lake?
What I'm saying is that the sewer system no longer allows septic.
The septic doesn't go
Right.
into the lake, okay.
But there's only so much you can do in terms of water runoff, because most of the properties that are around the lake are actually either at or below the lake level. You can't move water uphill.
I agree with you on that, but I'm wondering, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna let the lake die off?
The lake is not dying off. I already told you
You
The
told me
lake-
that you improved the water quality, and I
The
appreciate and I
lake-
agree with you.
The lake is
that-
not dying. What we have is an HAB problem, which is a natural growth of vegetation. It's not dying. The fish life in the lake is much healthier than it's ever been, and the quality of the water is actually much better than it's ever been. And part of the problem that we have is a natural growth. The algae is a natural growth. It's a plant. That's where the problem is. It's how do you treat something which naturally occurs? It's happened in almost every lake in northern New Jersey, including Lake Apacon, Greenwood Lake, and many other lakes in northern New Jersey. And I haven't seen anything which said that the algae growth is in any way related to water runoff. And as I said, we have an environmental consultant on a year-round basis helping us with the management of the lake to improve it and to make it healthier, which we've done.
I agree with you. I've noticed a significant improvement.
Right.
Where I'm concerned is this year we've closed off the lake, and is it announced that it's closed off for the rest of the summer? We're just gonna
Yeah.
close it off
The
and we're
beach-
gonna.
The beach was announced.
And how about for the rest of the lake?
People are free to ultimately utilize the lake. We put out warnings in terms of actually going into the lake or having contact with the lake. It can cause skin irritations and cause other problems, but I'm not aware of anybody actually having any type of health issues as a result of going into the lake this year. At least it's not been brought to my attention.
So I
And
have.
as I said, it's a naturally occurring, whether or not you have drainage going into the lake, there has to be,
There is.
I understand.
And that's fine.
There
I
has
just
to
am
be.
looking at it from like future generations, right? This is where I live. I'm gonna be here for another 30 years. I want the lake to be as healthy as it can be. We live in a wonderful town and you guys do a lot. So I just wanna make sure that I'm voicing my concern and that if there's anything that I can do to support the agenda of making sure we're doing everything that we can to keep this lake as healthy as we can keep it, that's why I'm here.
My suggestion to you is that you contact Andrew. He'll give you the name of our environmental consultant who actually manages the lake. You can speak to him directly, and you can get more educated in terms of what's being done, what can be done. And I think that's the best thing to do, rather than for us to be able to give you answers is not the same as hearing it directly from the person who's actually in charge of maintaining the health of the lake, and that would be the consultant.
And Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the state increase the standards this year for HABs?
At some point in time, I mean, that's the joke that goes around with respect to Greenwood Lake, that if you actually go into the lake on the New York side because their HAB standard is higher, there's no problem, although it's the same lake. And the New Jersey standard is lower. So people say that it's really just an arbitrary number in terms of, when it's safe and when it's not safe. But, we obviously follow NJDEP standards, and when we're told that there's a problem, we actually got it late in the season this year. We were open for much longer than, say, Lake Apacon, which got it at least a month prior to us. So my suggestion to you is you actually call Andrew if you have that big an interest in preserving the water quality of the lake, and speak to the environmental consultant directly. And he can educate you in terms of all the things that you want to know.
And Ms. Valverde, we also have a lake committee. If you,
There's not a lot of activity with that. When I moved to the town, there's not a lot of activity from my understanding.
Well-
I don't see a lot of activity with that.
well, well, then that's perfect opportunity
can
for you
we
to
do?
join, to be a little bit more active if you think they're not,
There's not
doing.
much going on, and I'm
if
on
there's
the,
not, oh,
I'm
you're
on
on?
the email thread, if you would.
Okay.
And the only other question I had around that is, my understanding that the water is not moving enough, it's like kind of stagnant, and where it meets the headwaters for the Raritan River, next to Docks Marina, that area is severely congested, and nobody really owns the cleanup and maintenance over there. So if the water can't drain properly, if it's getting clogged up and nobody's doing maintenance on it, we have stagnant water that's, part of the issue.
Right,
So I
but-
wanted
but-
to find out,
There's a dam further down, and that's how the flow is, or at least the lake height is controlled. And our DEP, I think, Tim, if you want to educate us, that'd be fine. But we control when we lift that wastegate, so I don't know if you want to chime in on this.
The weir boards?
Yep,
Yeah, I was gonna say the wear boards.
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Tim. Nice to meet you. Well, basically what we have is obviously the weir boards. What people talk about is congested flow going down the channel out to the south branch is more the growth of lily pads. It's not that it's debris. We have no more beaver issues down there. It's basically flowing. It flows under the lily pads. This time of the year, it is flowing lighter than usual. We do have control to a certain extent with the weir boards. If you go up Smithtown Road, where the bridge is behind the strip mall, you'll see a concrete bunker down there, and that's where the weir section is. We have the ability, with DOT approval, Fish and Wildlife, to raise or lower the lake minimal amounts. I mean, you're talking maybe 8 inches overall, so we have very little control over it. The lake is basically, it's natural. The flow is natural. There is flow going out, the outflow. I check the weir boards every day to make sure we still have water going over them. With the recent rains, it is flowing. You go behind docks, you go behind the strip mall, you'll see a bunch of lily pads, like massive amounts, and you'll think that that's stopping the water. The water's actually going underneath those, and there is flow there. So it is a slow flow. It is the only flow out of the lake, but it's basically working the way the lake is supposed to work.
And Tim, are you aware of any issues with the DEP telling us any actions that we have to do in order to improve the health of the lake?
No, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I know the Fish and Wildlife came in, they did some trapping in the late spring, early summers to monitor the muskie in the lake. And they actually trapped some of the biggest muskies they ever saw in New Jersey out of the Bud Lake area because of because of the natural environment and the health of the lake. The feeding fish in the lake are just becoming explosive, and the muskies are eating very well. They actually had to pull a trap for, I think they did 2 weeks, Andrew?
I believe so.
I believe they trapped and pulled muskies out because they were actually getting so many. They were kind of overwhelming the natural environment of the lake with the trout and the bass in the lake. So it is a very healthy lake.
That's reassuring.
It is. Trust me, we all pretty much care about the lake. Something happened to the lake, we'd have to change the name of the town.
That's what I'm saying. I just want to make sure we're doing everything that we can.
Oh, we do, trust me.
The name of the town's Mount Olive. Just letting you know.
Bud Lake. You're in Bud Lake right now.
Thank you, Tim.
That's all I have for you folks. Thanks for
Thank you.
your
But
help.
I would suggest that you get in touch with the environmental consultant, and if you can educate us in terms of something that you pick up from him, that would be great.
Yeah, I just want to get the toxic water off because it looks like somebody's poured antifreeze.
It's not really toxic. Like I said, it's a natural growth, and it's not caused by, as far as I know, it's not caused by anything which is being done to the lake. It's just naturally occurring. But again, you can speak to the. I'm sorry. Do you know something different? You're welcome to come up. I said I haven't heard that it's caused by anything. If you know differently, please come up and speak, because I'd love to be educated on it.
Unfortunately, any comments have to be made up at the podium.
And I agree with the man that basically what the knowledge that we get from our experts that check the lake is this is natural. This is not anything that's just a freak or from toxic waste dumping or anything like that. It is a natural algae that is growing in the lake.
Right.
And that's why we're doing treatment. It's a very sensitive balance. Once you start treating one thing, such as some of the weed growth or different type of invasive plants that are in there, it offsets the balance somewhat. And so there's got to be a happy medium to get everything working as it should. Sometimes when you have the imbalance, you're going to get what we have right now, and it's not unusual. It is all over the state. A lot of it's the weather, the heat, and the amount of rain that we're getting. So it's nothing that, the lake is not toxic. It's just Bud Lake.
Well, like I said, speak to the environmental consultant, or to the woman in the back of the room who seems to know something that I don't know, and I'd love to be educated on it.
Well, thank you, gentlemen and ladies. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
No, thank you very much.
I'll see you again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone else from the public have any questions or comments?
Can I-
Grace? Yes.
I want to just add a little bit of a comment. What are we doing about the debris at Ducks Marina area? Has he been noticed or
No.
no?
Well, the ownership, it's changed ownership.
Yeah,
It's a GWB, something like
something or
that.
other, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I mean, the piles of stuff over there, it's amazing.
Okay, is it
All
the,
of the debris and metal and old boats and motors, and if you, like when I go to the bank and you just look over and it's just
You talking about
cluttered.
outside the lake or in the lake?
It's on the property,
Oh,
not
okay.
in the lake.
I'll send our property maintenance over there and we'll take a look at it.
yeah, it might be something we might require him to do some screening or something.
Yeah, because, I mean, it rains and stuff, I just worry, we haven't had anything showing that there's been any contamination from it, but it's just piling up so much, I'm concerned.
From my understanding is when it changed ownership, he's been doing a lot of improvements in that, to that operation.
Well, then maybe that's why it seemed like there was a lot of stuff maybe he was moving it around and fixing it up, so,
It's possible.
okay, good.
Yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mannion?
We did our fair share with the retention basin behind the old Veterans Memorial.
Yes.
Quickly addressed it, and it was taken care of. So, we've done what's necessary to be done.
Right. If nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn to the
So
public
moved.
meeting?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I now call to order the Township Council public meeting of August 20th, 2019. Michelle, can you please read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call.
Mr. Amianda. Mr. Ferrante.
Here.
Mrs. Labow.
Here?
Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Okay, we on to approval of previous minutes. Mr. Ferrante, could you please approve the minutes?
Sure, I make a motion to approve the July 23rd, 2019 workshop minutes, August 6th closed session and public meeting minutes.
Second?
Okay. Roll call.
Any discussion?
Anybody have any questions, comments? Think none, roll call.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes. Okay, we have 16 pieces of correspondence. Does any have any questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, we're on to ordinances for public hearing. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 16-2019, entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris and State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 550 Land Use of the Township Code to update building construction fees." Ms. Labow.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 16-2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any council discussion? Anyone from the public? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes. Ordinance number 16-2019 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Okay, we're on now to first reading with a second reading of September 3rd, 2019. The next item on the agenda is, for first reading is ordinance number 17-2019, entitled, "An Ordinance Grant Municipal Consent for the Operation of a Cable Television System within the Township of Mount Olive, New Jersey, to CSC TKR LLC, doing business as Cablevision of Morris." Mr. Mania.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move that ordinance number 17-2019 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting will be held on September 3rd at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second?
It's been seconded. Any council discussion? Is anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes. Okay, we're on to consent resolutions. Does anyone wish to move any to non-consent? All right, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I move that the consent resolutions 1 through 9 be moved for adoption and final passage.
Second.
Any questions from council, comments? Anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes. Okay, we're on to paying our bills. Mr. Ferrante.
Make a motion to move the bill list.
Second.
Roll call.
Anybody have
Any questions, comments? Any bill you don't want to pay? No? Anyone from the public? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Labow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes. Oh, we paid our bills again. All right, we're on to administrative reports. Andrew.
Just one for the mayor. This Saturday, October 24th, we'll be having our food truck and fireworks festival. Festivities are from 4 to 10 p.m. Over 22 food truck vendors, music, and fireworks. That is all.
I'll make sure to die the day before. Okay, we're on to old business. Anyone have any old business? New business? Yes, Ms. Labow.
Just want, I gave Andrew a letter that I received in the mail, that he also got a call from a resident about says First Energy. It looks like it's from JCP&L kind of a thing. He's going to be looking into it tomorrow to check we're not really quite sure what it was, except it's not official from JCP&L.
Yeah, it seems like it's some insurance coverage on your
Yeah,
outside electrical
on your
lines.
outside electric.
Yeah,
I
so
got the same
Right.
thing.
I'll do
Yeah.
some research on, I'll have maybe the mayor post a little info on it.
Yeah, 'cause like I was concerned, because it looks ominous. It looks like, oh my God, I better sign up. If anything goes wrong, I'm gonna get hundreds of dollars in bills, you know? And you know, it's easy for a lot of people to
To be
think it's
concerned.
real, and it's not a large amount of money. It's $5.99 a month, but you figure if they had 1,000 people giving them $5.99 a month, that's a lot of money. So, anyway, I just was, so I thank you, Andrew. He's
Yeah, we'll
gonna
look
check
into
it
it.
out for us.
Okay, Mr. Mania?
Tim, this question's for you. Old Flanders, Main Road, there was some paving done. Who's responsible for the striping?
Where the gas lines were going?
Yes,
That was the gas
The
company,
gas is
that's
gonna-
County Road.
it's been like that for a while now.
Yeah.
Well, they, I believe they just paved a couple weeks ago, so we'll make sure they.
It should
stripe
get
it.
striped.
Wait, Tim, stay up there, please. Mr. Roman, may I?
Yes, please, yes.
Thank you very much for starting the work on Woodland.
Going well.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
very
Yeah,
well.
Hit good ground. It's nice
Ah.
and bony, sandy, it should work fine.
That's a pretty big job there.
Yeah, a lot of water.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I know, yeah, there is a lot of water there, so
Yeah.
that, and when I saw it this morning, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it took a little time to get over there, but we're knocking it off.
Yeah, well, you know, you have so much time, you're working your way across town getting things done, which is great. and-
Keeps raining.
I know.
Great
It's like
job, Tim.
Thank
One
you.
of those, and then you're gonna do Lee Court.
That's when we get the paving. We don't have the final schedule yet, but we'll give that to Andrew as soon as we have it.
And just so everybody knows, these are just items that have been kind of.
Water issues that have been a nuisance.
That we're working on and getting to as soon as we can, but yeah, I'm so excited.
We're getting there, yes.
And are you gonna, for Woodland Ave, is that whole section gonna get paved there?
Where we do our cut crosses, we are going to do the road repairs. We're not paving. Obviously, gas lines were put in there within the year, so
Right.
that's off our paving list for this year.
And any of the big hole, like there's a great big hole in the middle of Woodland and,
Oh, we'll take care of that.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
that'll all be done.
I know it really well. I swear to God, it moves.
Well, it does.
To, the hole, it moves so that I'll hit it every single time.
Yes.
What are you gonna do? Thank you.
Okay. Andrew, could you coordinate with either the library or their health department? Because, I mean, when talking about that letter that Ms. Laybell received, that it possibly may or may not be a scam, there's a lot of scams that go
seniors.
on, and our seniors are definitely more vulnerable. I have probably 5 email accounts, and at least 2 or 3 times a week I get an email, and I know how to spot a scam email. So I think it's something that we should be able to at least definitely provide to our senior residents, because they're the ones that can very easily be taken advantage of.
Yeah, I'll put something together and I'll share it with them.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, we're on to legal matters.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right, thank you. Council reports. Mr. Ferrante, anything on environmental or lake or library?
Nothing tonight.
Okay.
Lake is
And-
closed.
All right, and
Beach is
in
closed.
line with that, could you maybe reach out to the library, see if that's something that we could coordinate? Because I think that would be a great venue in order to indicate that, to conduct that. All right, Mr. Stewart, anything on economic development or community action?
EDC meets tomorrow evening here in the township hall, and then also the community action panel is scheduled to resume on September 3rd.
Ms. Leba, anything on open space, Board of Health, or stigma?
Open Space is going to be, we're going to be doing a tour on the 28th of some of our open space in the area, because we're working on the Land Conservancy and the town, we're working on our new, what do you call it, Andrew, the plan
Open
for?
space
open s-
master plan.
Yeah, and, which is really wonderful, so we're gonna be checking, are you gonna be coming on that tour? No, you can't. But, it's a very interesting tour. I've been on it a couple of times, which is really nice. And then tomorrow morning, with the Board of Health, or the Health Department rather, we have our coalition meeting, and that's always a great time too, as well as trying to, for any reach out in the community, the best way to service our residents. And that's all I have for now, because nothing else is met.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Leba. Mr. Mania, anything on legislative or planning?
Yeah, legislative, Oraho, Senator Oraho, legislation that permanently enacts a state program to permit hemp growth for industrial use has been signed into law.
Okay.
So Senator Oraho is responsible for that.
And just taking that a step further, that's one of the things the Mount Olive EDC is actually exploring, is
Okay.
how to leverage that with some of the farmers in the area.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
All right, thank you.
Planning Board, it was a Board of Adjustment meeting, of which I can't participate. It was use variances,
All right,
so.
no problem. Do you have any update on the Wawa application, when that'll be starting construction?
Well, we approved it, the Planning Board approved it,
Right.
but we're still waiting for the state and the county.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And I have nothing on recreation or pride. All right, we're on to our last public portion. Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? Okay, seeing none. All right, closing council comments. Mr. Ferrante,
Nothing tonight.
Ms. Laval.
I just want to say, I stopped by the funeral home last night for Debbie Sheard, and it's just always a hard thing when we lose any of our residents. It just seems we've been losing a lot lately, so I hope this is the end. No more. We're done, and but it was a rough one, and I've known Debbie for years
Many
and
years.
years, many years, decades, and even just in the family members. I mean, her husband's been on the fire department, her father-in-law, I mean, the whole family, brother, sister, and just the whole family of dedicated volunteers making our community safer and better, and seeing Kathy DeToro here this evening, and Myra Garcia, and our police officers. We're just very fortunate to have the really fabulous people that we have help, making sure we're all safe, including our staff and our DPW supervisor back there, ignoring me. Yeah, Bud Lake, go!
That's because he's in Bud Lake right now.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mania.
My condolences to the Sheard family.
All right, Mr. Stewart.
Congratulations again to our newest police sergeant and our new fire marshal, and also it is a shout out, God, I hate doing this again, but to Mr. Quinn and his team for the work that they're doing on patching an awful lot of potholes in the
Oh,
area.
yeah, nice.
All right, thank-
Yeah.
All right, I too would like to take a moment to recognize Ms. Deborah Sheard. I've known the Sheard family for the
Forever.
better part of 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
And it is definitely one of the byproducts of getting older, is that we get to see
Yeah.
more and more of our fellow residents pass. But we should also take comfort in and use that as an example and live up to some of their standards, because unfortunately, we have lost some treasures in Mount Olive, and I'm hoping that the people that come behind us will take up the mantle and do the same kind of yeoman's work that these fine residents have done.
Yeah.
And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Yeah, when I got to that wake last night, the line was out the door, up the street. Yeah, we didn't get there until, because I was down in South Jersey all night, so we didn't get there until
If we're lucky.
about 10 after 6.
All right, thanks, Bob.